piata mai riko mai. Ei to I mā tātou I rungi te ara wānanga, te ara ngā tauranga, te ara o tātou tūpuna, o tātou uri waka tupu. Tūturu o uti waka maua, kia tīna, tīna, ie, tai.
Te orokohanga, ko tūmatoenga, ko rongo mātāne, ko tāne māhutaka, ko tāwhiri māte. Ngāre ngā tai o ngā toa, tuko mai tō wairoa, te ihi, te wehi, te mana, te kota, te kotahitanga o te rākau ki rau, tihei Māori ora. Ko te mihi tuatai ki ngā toa, o rangi nui ki runga, o papatūnuku ki rau. Tēnā kōra, no ngā toa, ko te ao nei. Nō reira, e miki ana hau, ki te whenua nei, ko te whanganui a tāra, te upoko, o te eka Māori, tēnā koe. Ki te mana whenua o tēnei wahi, tēnā koutou. Ki te kānohi ora, kia koutou, ko hui mai nei. Ki te whakarongo kia mātou. Tēnā koutou, ko 4 phase games mātou. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. So a big mihi to everyone for coming in, listening to us. Kōrero today about what we do in te ao gaming, but also in te ao Māori. I'm going to return the kōrero back to Morgana, but before I do that, I got a request. We're very comfortable with kupu Māori, and if you don't understand any words that we say, please stand up and do a big starter. It's gonna let us know that we need to elaborate a little more. So nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou, katoa.
Mike. Tēnā no tātou. I'm just going to stand so I can see everybody. Kia ora, ko taranaki te maunga, ko taranaki te tupuna, he uri anō tēnei nō, taranaki tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Morgana, and I'm from Taranaki, Ngā Motu, Te Ati Awa Nui tonu, so he hononga ki konei. And yeah, thank you so much. I'll try not to take too much time because it's only half an hour. All right. What are we talking about? Morgana, Indigenous representation. All right. This is our first talk, so we're not nervous. We're not nervous at all. Thank you for inviting us and having us. I just wanted to quickly talk about 4 phase games and what we are doing right now. So we're a very, very new game development company. We're a very new team, but we've bonded really quickly. We're really tight. And basically, we're creating a Māori role-playing game for console. And a big part of what we set at the core of our mahi, of our work, is that we wanted it to be tūturu, authentic, hardcore Māori. I don't know if you got that from our aesthetics, but... and so back in 2018, I was thinking to myself, it'd be cool. I can't wait till someone makes a Māori game, you know, like a Māori Tomb Raider, Māori God of War. Thankfully, Maru is way ahead of the game in that sense. And then I attended Ko Māui Hangarau, a Māori innovation and tech kaupapa in Tauranga that my mate Lee was facilitating, and I thought, well, if I'm going to make a game, these are the people that I'd love to make it with, all these Māori leadership, mean-as nerds. So, you know, fast forward to 2021, we are currently building and creating hard assets to build our trailer to get the big funding. So we've had a little bit of help in regards to like Venture Taranaki giving us funding for business help, and we've had little bits and pieces here and there. We've done a Patreon, we've done, what else did we do? Give a Little and GoFundMe to help us, you know, basically get together. We all live in different cities. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that kind of setup, but none of us live in the same place. So when we get together, it costs money. To wānanga, just to be together, to bond. Most of our mahi that we do is online, but when we get together, that's when the real magic happens. The reason why we wanted to make a game was that first and foremost, selfishly, it was to create a game that we wanted to play. We wanted to see ourselves in games. We wanted to see our culture, our reo in games. I just thought, if my sons can learn Dragon Speak, then then everyone can learn te reo through gaming. It has nothing to do with education. You know, we're not on that buzz. We just want to make a really fun game. And then by osmosis, y'all can pronounce Aotearoa correctly. So for the future, I think, like, for us, it's really important that we have representation that is authentic for our next generations. You may know or you may not know that anything in Māori is about legacy in Te Ao Māori. It's always about our future generations. So I say selfishly that we're making a game for us, but we're actually making it for our next generations, so that they can see themselves. If they can see themselves in this industry, in the games themselves, then it'll give them the aki, the encouragement that they need to be in this space as well. Yeah, I think I whipped through that pretty quickly. Remembering that we do have the questions, although I'm not using my phone, but if anyone has questions that they'd like to ask us, just, you know, feel free to put your hand up because it might spark as we're talking. Yeah, kia ora rā.
Kia ora koutou anō. Hello? Kia ora koutou anō. Ko Hukarangi ki te maunga, ko Wāku Papawawa, ko Ngāti tuku iwi, ko Machu tuku ingoa. I've only ever talked to 3 people, so this is a lot of faces for me. But essentially, I'm with Full Face. Kia ora. Oh. Okay, so yeah, so I joined up with Morgana and the team, coming from, I don't actually like, coming from Mahi Maurako, so Māori weaponry. That's my background for this team and my passion. And I guess for this team, building a Māori game, it's really important to get the Māori aspect of it correct. Anyone could build a Māori game, but to do it properly, to do it with tikanga Māori, whakaaro Māori, all of these things, to keep it tūturu, to keep it true to what it is, I think it takes someone who's experienced in this realm to, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, so I guess what I'm saying is to build a Māori game, I don't think you have to be Māori whakapapa, but you definitely have to adhere to Māori tikanga, Māori whakaaro, Māori kaupapa, all of these things. And do you know what we've found? I mean, we've only been creating this game for a short little time, but coming in from that Māori perspective and building a Māori game really works. So every time we've sat down to come together and create from a Western perspective, from like a Hollywood perspective, so like, doesn't work. And every time we've come together just being ourselves and bringing in that tūturu Māori tangana. You know, it's come through like, you know, there's a lot of difference there, and I think keeping it to the uniqueness of Māori tanga is what's going to be the fun thing about the game. So anyone can experience what it's like to, and I'm just coming from a weaponry perspective, there's a lot of different skill sets on the team, but you know, playing the game, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel our perspective, what we see when we want, or what we want to see, really, what we want to feel, and you guys are going to experience that. So yeah. What else? How long have I talked for? One more. Okay. Well, I brought my tyre all the way from Tamaki. I'm from Tamaki, so I thought it'd be rude not to, you know, give it a twirl or something. Does this move? Got it. What I've found, because I have no experience in the gaming industry, I'm a landscaper, that's my full-time mahi. You can leave it there, that's fine. What I've found, bringing my knowledge of Maurako into a gaming sense, is I've really got to like really think through everything. Whereas I'm used to being able to go out, you know, do a whittle and almost let the taiaha work for itself. And it's all muscle memory. But when you're coming into a gaming perspective and trying to build that as like a character, really got to overthink every single strike, block, you know, counter strike, and how that's going to be portrayed. I mean, in a fight, I'm coming in quick. But in a gaming sense, like you've got a couple of characters around, you know, you're going to be wanting to block and attack, but you're pressing buttons, and I mean, hopefully we build a muscle memory in our fingers and we just go, but I guess I found that quite challenging, thinking it from that perspective, and also trying to tone it in, because I could go for days like, you know, coming in quick and attacking someone, but how's that going to be mahi-wise? Like, that's a lot of work to program into animation and all of that. Plus, we've found with the animation, all these quick little moves doesn't really show up too well, so you've got to really over-exaggerate everything. But yeah, I've run out of things to talk about, so please, if you do have any questions, yeah, half-time mic, please. At the end, maybe. Yeah. Kia ora. Kia ora, kia koutou.
Tēnā koutou te iwi, ko Jojo ahau, no Wanganui ahau, ko ngā pairangi me Ngāti Kahungunu tuku apu. Mai te kāhui maunga ki Tangaroa, ko au te awa, ko te awa ko au. So, my name's Jojo, I'm from Wanganui originally. My hapus are of course from Wanganui, Ngā Pairangi up there at Kaiwaiki, and my dad's from Napier, so Ngāti Kahungunu on that side. And I am the river and the river is me. All that jazz. And my role here in the team, it all started, of course, like via social media. You know what I mean? Morgana picked me up one day because my background is art and illustration, but also storytelling as well. I've got a real passion for all of our old traditional pūrākau, and how even in a modern setting like today, those very real lessons carry through, and they can help us process how our tupuna, our ancestors, would have processed the world around them. And that can be anything from like dealing with our emotions, our mental health, how to take care of oneself in a holistic sense. nature, our spiritualism, our creation narratives and all those sort of things, big passion of mine. So once Morgana offered this opportunity to me, and she told us our story, her story of what our game's going to be streamlined as, I was like, yeah, let's go. So I got the hardware to sort of give the synopsis of our game in a rough sense. So on the fly, I'm trying to figure this out. So of course, without giving away too much, because everything's still in early stages, yes, but our heroic protagonist has, the story is one that would sit in any setting. Our protagonist has, she's your, damn it, gave it away. Yeah. Our heroine is not what you'd call a hero type, but given Armageddon is coming, and some of our loved ones are in danger, and of course, it's that old saying that heroes aren't born, they're made. Pressure makes the diamond kind of thing. And on her journey through to our end point, she will pass through our setting, of course, as well. Instead of being on Papatūānuku as such, we're going back to some of the very old kōrero where we don't whakapapa just to like rangi and papa, but further back into the cosmos, into Te Matua Te Ariki or Matariki, the constellation. Yep. So that story is when Tāpiri Mātia realised that his efforts to try and recombine his parents again were futile. His grief and anger overwhelmed him. He reached into his skull and pulled his eyes out and threw them out, and they became the stars in the constellation of Te Matariki. And so it's kind of like Interstellar, yeah, in a vibe like that, cool. But still, and the big difference with that is our Māori lens, how it comes through, because from the Western, in a Western sense, you think of it like as good and bad. It's always quite black and white. But really, when you look at our story about Atua Māori, our Māori deities, there's no such thing really as good and evil. I mean, evil is definitely an element there, as well as peace. But they represent personifications of the greater ecosystem, and how we need all of those elements together, otherwise everything collapses on itself, and nothing makes sense. So she'll be going through, she'll be travelling through our hyper-immersive world, and finding all those sort of things, meeting some of our atua, and getting cool as, and like there'll be a lot of things like the big tropes, like like the whole idea of like stamina and mana and like health potions and stuff like that. Kauri and ngaro, but we'll feature a lot of things like karakia, motiatia, ririku, all those really cool things that to us those were kind of like the analogue to those. And I think I'm reaching my I'll pass one anecdote. So Mati's right, and so we've only been together for a short time, but things fit so much into place with tikanga at the forefront. It's kind of been like we have these moments where we're talking like, anytime we hit a trouble, we know that the awesome moment's going to be there, but then we go on a tangent, which we shouldn't be, because we're trying to keep to the subject, and then we'll be like, well, what if we did this, and then this, but then this, and we're like, and then it's just like a whole nother, magic moment, yeah. And one thing that's been really awesome to me, I mean, from an artist perspective, I put it down like this. Morgana and Machi make awesome reference models, and they've been doing such a good job. And of course, that's not a new thing. I mean, my background mainly is traditional art, but I've been getting pretty good at digital, and I've having Machi as my reference model. And I put it down like this. I'll finish with this closing statement. I like to feel like all of us together, we're like the four po for the game. Machi's like our kōiwi, our bones, our skeleton. I draw and mould the skin around him. Morgana's creative spark is the one that gives us our life force, and Higa is like the projection energy taking us forward, and they quite well call it, we're like Te Ao Māori Voltron. And then with that, Thank you, everyone. Mā reira. Tēnā koutou.
Kia tātou, ko Hikurangi Tuanga, ko Waiapui Te Awa, ko Ngāti Iwi, yes, we are whananga. Ko Tongariro Te Mana, ko Tongariro Te Awa, ko Tūrangi Tua Te Hapu, ko Tūtai Toa Te Iwi, te tātou katoa. Ko Hikurangi Ahau. Hi! I'm Hayden, and I'm a massive nerd. I've been in tech for a really long time, and as you can imagine, there aren't a lot of us that are in gaming. And so when Morgana went, "You are going to help us," I went, "Okay."
Voluntold.
Yeah.
Voluntold.
And so mostly I deal in product, and it's been this crazy ass journey because I am literally the nanny, I'm not even the organizer, the scheduler, this is what we've got to do, and that's what my job is in, real life, which kind of sucks. But when I came onto the team, it meant that I had to kind of put that away and instead start to hold space. Start to hold space and shut up, because I grew up in a partner world. I have very set tropes in my mind, set behaviours, set storylines. Because as soon as I heard that we had a female protagonist, I went, "Labyrinth!" and And so being able, because I'm not quite sure if you can feel the energy, but there's this crazy squirrels on crack. And when we run on that, they're just like, go! So being able to, because I try not to participate as much, but I do try to hold as much as I can, because I need to find that steel thread somewhere. And so the things that I end up doing is asking questions around the story of how will this be, what is the environment that we're working in, how does gravity work, all of these practical things, because even though we're in the early stages, what I'm trying to build out, in my mind at least, is the world, or the worlds, or the cosmos. Because my job is to get us to make money. And even though we're years for the completion of the game, that doesn't mean that we can't create something else from everything that we have created in our minds. And so some of the tools we might use are, we use Miro or Miro in order to just pull the ideas together, to have some space to hold it, to categorize stuff, to remind ourselves of what he could be talking about half an hour ago. To pull, because we also want it to be at least scientifically possible, or Māori possible. And so the ability to hold space, to shut up, not impose your rigid mindset on the creators, to have some place to connect it all, find that steel thread, and then build some product so that you can make some money. And that is why I am the waiwai for the Leagues of Māori Voltron.
Kia ora, so we've got a couple of questions, which is really cool. Is your coach saying oh, man, really fast. Okay, 5 minutes.
Oh,
5 minutes. Okay, Jojo, you're up first. So the question is from the weirdo. Hey Jojo, where would I be able to see your concept art online?
The concept for the game themselves, they are far away. Now, which translates to our Patreon.
Yeah.
We have this inside joke where we call it only macho.
Only much. Because he's our poster guy. He's our poster guy. So we were like, if you want top tier. from Andy, and this is what we'll all have a go at answering this, eh? There's a lot of negative rhetoric on Māori in mainstream media. How does that impact your mental health and your mahi and kaupapa? Kia ora, Andy.
I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of wahine Māori end up being threatened online. It happens a lot. And it's starting to be that not even a lot of wahine maumoko aren't even doing anything and they're being threatened and targeted, so it's a consistent set of threats. I don't know why it's like, yes, I really know it. There is a large right-wing conglomerate, whatever you want to call it, in Aotearoa, and because our government is much more left-wing, I guess they feel like they have to be more vocal. And so this is how they impose themselves on us, by making us scared, or to make us be silent, or to make us not turn up. So I wasn't going to come. And I was like, this is my city. This is my community. You are going to make me be silent.
What was the question? How does it impact your mental health? I think that because I'm extremely confident and at home in my Māoriness, like blocking is so easy for me. Not taking people seriously when they don't know what they're talking about is really easy for me. How does it affect my mental health? And my mahi? Not at all. Mental health maybe. Sometimes I get a bit worried and stressed, like what had happened. I don't know if you're familiar with what had happened with us leading up to today. Okay, I'll quickly. Just saying, death threats against Hedia. We have extra security, by the way, and I've had to deal with some online stuff from a very right-wing certain demographic that are not happy to hear about people like me being confident in my own space. So that's what we were up against coming here, but it doesn't stop us from doing our mahi because we are a product of tupuna resistance, to quote my friend. We are products of our tupuna who have been through a lot harder stuff, who have died for us, who have suffered for us. I'm from Parihaka Pa. If anyone knows the story of Parihaka, those are my tupuna. So it's like, make your bets online, but see you kāmohi ki te kāmohi. Let's catch up. Like, no. I mean, what are we going to do? Like, back down? Good one. Okay, you go. So the negative rhetoric,
I mean, it's seen everywhere, and I think I'd start with the mental health one because it can be a lot of the time because the piro from those wounds, the pus, it seeps deep, and there's levels to it. It can be very surface level stuff. I'd say Wanganui, I love my hotel, my tuna, my waiwai there, but there is definitely a lot of institutionalised racism there. It can be just fun. I frequent all my local businesses to the nth degree, and it doesn't matter how many times I walk in there, I still have the security guy who must just be pretty interesting and recognise them and think I'm cute. It's not that, I know it's not. But that's the small stuff. But sometimes when you sit down there and you just really dwell on it, it's like a big heavy cloud, the weight of which can be quite crushing. But I know this kind of mahi here is punching it forward, Yeah, we're trying to, it doesn't matter. Better pass it on to the brand.
Yeah. I'll just read the part up quick. Kia ora team, there's a lot of negative rhetoric on Māori in mainstream media. How does that impact your mental health and your mahi and kaupapa? So, I hate the media and how it portrays Māori and how it portrays anything really. Everything is shown does have a effect on your mental health, and I'm super aware of that because mental health is so important. So pretty much, I can only speak from Tāne point of view. I don't receive death threats. I mean, good luck if you want to give me a death threat. By the way, but and I also, being Pākehā, can get away with a lot of that sort of, like, I step in both of these worlds. In my main mahi, landscaping, I'm dealing with a lot of rich, white, right-wing, so a lot of lovely people too, but a lot of these people who have very negative views, and I do believe that is from the media portraying it. I mean, if they had never been exposed to these negative views, would they still have these negative views? But the thing is, they take it, they absorb it like a sponge, and they parrot it out. Because I have white skin, they parrot it to me in my mahi. This negatively affects my mental health. I mean, I'm always kei te pai. However, having to absorb that and work with it to make my money to live in this world really weighs me down at the end of the day. However, I'm just going to say this really quickly because we've got to wrap up. Taking that on, but also knowing that, you know, I am Māori and I am putting myself out there in such a positive way, that is the image that I want to show to these people. I want to show them that I am a hardworking Māori man who isn't what you see in the media. And that's how I keep my mental health going. Yeah, so.
Unu ia I te urutapu nui kia wātea kia māma te ngākau te tina nā te wairua I te ara takatū. Ko ia rā I rongo wakaere ake ki runga kia wātea, aira kua wātea au pai māriri. Thank you everyone.